Hey, Raider fans, this is going to be my what do I think the Raiders should do this post off season. Okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is mine. So, whatever the case be, you can have your own. My biggest thing is I think the Raiders need to focus on obviously the biggest hole that we have now is quarterback. Um, People that I think are worth going after in the offseason is obviously Lamar Jackson would be number one, but I feel like a lot of teams are going to want to pursue him, and I do think the Ravens are going to franchise tag him. So I feel like it won't be the easiest option as a lot of teams are needing a quarterback. Another quarterback, I think that if I was to choose in my dream situation would be Aaron Rodgers. Now, the only reason I say Aaron Rodgers is yes, I know the defense has a lot of holes and a lot of needs that we need to fix before we talk about being a playoff contenders. However, we are in a division where we have Patrick Mahomes, we have Andy Reid, both as a combo that has not been stopped, regardless of you know losing one of the best receivers in Tyreek Hill, which I really thought made a big hole for them. It seems like they've answered. They've had a response for that. They didn't need him. Obviously, you can tell even with just Travis Kelsey. I feel like as a Raider fan, it's very difficult because year after year, you feel like there's an opportunity. I feel the last time before this, obviously, the Chiefs have now been undeniably number one for the past few years. Before that, it was the Broncos with Peyton Manning. So I feel like it's very difficult to be in a division like that because you have a lot of really good teams. Like the Chargers have Justin Herbert. The Broncos, I think, mark me on this, I think Russell Wilson will do better this year coming up, depending on what the coaching situation is. I think just trying to figure out the people that you're playing with is hard being a new quarterback to a new team. So I do think that's going to be difficult this season coming up. People, I think, underestimate that, but that's my opinion. Because the fact that we're in a division where we have to go against all these teams, I think the kind of answer is, finding a quarterback that can compete with these people. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is undeniable. He will be able to do so, especially with this elite offense weapons that we have. I feel like there's no way we can't be, contenders. Regardless of how terrible our defense is, we can compete. I mean, we did a playoff run a few years ago with, not the same amount of talent. So there's no way that if you add more talent, there can't be an answer for that. Now, whatever the case be, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to cost too much, and the Packers are going to want a lot of draft capital. And I think the downside with Aaron Rodgers is that you don't know how long he's going to want to play with us, and I don't like that. I don't like to give up stuff, especially considering for a player that may not be completely 100% as passionate as others. Lamar Jackson would be nice. I think Lamar Jackson is probably the best option at this point. However, I think they are going to franchise tag him and make whoever wants them pay up. So that's going to be a big issue because Lamar Jackson's going to want to be paid too. So I do say now, y'all may not like this. Y'all may not agree. Geno Smith, I like Geno Smith. I had him on my fantasy, so I watched him play. I think he is pretty good. I feel like he's a free agent that may be available, considering the Seattle has the draft pick from the Broncos, which I think they're sitting at 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a quarterback. Um, it would suck for us because clearly we're in a quarterback hungry need now, and that doesn't answer our issues. So if those are the only options we have, I'd rather go with those 3. I do not want Mac Jones. I hate Mac Jones. Like I just think he's a product of Belichick, and yes, McDaniels knows him very well, would work in his system. However, with the amount of talent that this division has, I don't think it'll be enough for us to get playoffs and Super Bowl contending at all. Any conversation, it'll be a waste of our money and time, to be honest, because you put all this money on the offense. I want an offense that's going to put up points. And with Mac Jones, I don't think it's possible. I could be wrong. I would rather just keep Stidham and just get a maybe draft a quarterback at that point. I don't want to pay money for a okay quarterback, because if that was the case, we should have just kept Derek Carr and try to reconstruct his contract, because I do believe Derek Carr is better than half of the people playing now, regardless of what you think. Okay, do I think he's elite? No, I don't think he's elite, but I do think he actually is good enough to have you win games. Whatever you want to call it, mediocrity, whatever the case be, quarterbacks are not easy to find. So I'm hoping that we have answers this offseason, and I hope I'm wrong, but that's going to be our biggest void. And I feel like I'm not ready for the pain depending on who we pick up. Okay. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's all right. I mean, I'm not entirely too thrilled about him. It just depends on how much he's wanting to get paid. Now, would I prefer him over Stidham? 100%. However, just depending on the price tag, I don't know what they're willing to pay. And if, we're not going to pay obviously a lot because that's the whole point that we got rid of Derek Carr, correct? We don't want to pay when we obviously have holes in other areas of the team. So we need to put that money to defense, of course. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know what they'll do with the draft. So if they do draft, if we don't get anybody in the offseason, obviously Tom Brady was someone everybody was hoping would get, which would be nice because, he knows the system. It'd be easy transition. However, he was kind of old. Let's just be real. He was old and don't know if I like the way he was playing towards his last year of career, whatever. The coaching changing might have something to play with that, whatever the case be. I do believe that if we do want to draft a quarterback, we have to trade up. There's no way any of these top quarterbacks are going to be worth picking up late in the rounds if it's not like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or whoever these players are. I'm not a big college fan, so I'm not going to lie here and say, oh, I watch all the film. I don't. But I feel like a lot of people like them coming out, which if I'm putting money, I'm putting on getting a quarterback in the draft, I'm going to go higher up in the draft. I'm going to trade up because I'm not willing to risk having all these other teams questionably maybe pick up a quarterback before we do, and then we're stuck. Then, obviously we can pick up a defensive player that we really need, but the case be, it's hard because we really need a quarterback. And that's going to be the biggest question of what we do in the off season. So I really don't want to hear anybody but the names I mentioned in it's going to be tough because like I said, people underestimate, as much as, people hate Carr, he did help the team, to a certain degree. We didn't have everything the best, and I get it. You can't have everything set up for you perfectly, but I think quarterback is not easy to replace, and I would have preferred just having them redo his deal. But we'll see what they do this offseason. Otherwise, it's just going to be a long, long, long season figuring out what these holes are going to do and how we're going to play off. It's going to be exciting, hopefully new faces. I like Stidham. Granted, he's not perfect, but he's not going to cost a lot. And he knows the system. So we need someone that knows the system. He's got the ability to move out of the pocket, which I know everybody's happy to see. So, like I said, Geno Smith, if that's available, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we need somebody clearly. So I don't know what the price tag's going to be. So we'll find out, I guess, basically, if Carr accepts the contract, it's going to be the setting stone of the free agents of the quarterback, which is going to be kind of either shell shock or, either way, we'll find out soon enough. Otherwise, it's a waiting game. The other thing I want to talk about is in the next video that I'm going to do is about drafting, fantasy draft. I really want to do a females league. So if there's any females that are listening or are interested, let me know. I'm thinking about getting a full women. Hey, and if you want to let me join your guys league, I'll do that too. Now, last year was my first year, and I almost made the playoffs. Didn't make it, but I'll make a whole video of the shit that I went through, which is fucked up. But either way, it's a learning lesson. So, all right, guys, let me know what you guys think and any kind of more videos you guys want to talk about. Bye.